The massive station stretched across space like a metal city. Kepler Station was bigger than most planets, with countless levels and districts where different alien species lived and worked together. Today it hosted something special: 20 human children on an educational trip. Mrs. Elena Rodriguez walked slowly down the wide corridor, counting heads for the 100th time. 20 young faces looked around in wonder at the strange sights. The youngest was 8-year-old Tommy Chen, who kept pointing at everything with excitement. The oldest was 16-year-old Sarah Park, who tried to act cool but couldn't hide her amazement. "Stay together, everyone," Mrs. Rodriguez called out. She had been teaching for 30 years and had seen it all. But taking kids into space was new, even for her. The security guards walked nearby, their weapons hidden but ready. The children were special. Each one had won competitions back on Earth: science fairs, math contests, writing awards. They represented the best young minds humanity had to offer. This trip was their prize, a chance to see how different species lived among the stars. "Look at that," shouted Marcus Williams, a 12-year-old who loved engineering. He pointed at a group of tall, blue-skinned aliens working on a massive engine. The Zephyrians were known across the galaxy for their technology and their pride. "They're so tall," whispered Emma Foster, a quiet girl who studied languages. She was already trying to learn basic Zephyrian phrases from her tablet. The group moved into the cultural district, where different species showed off their art and history. Human visitors were rare here. Most aliens still saw humanity as newcomers to space, too young and wild to be trusted with important things. Mrs. Rodriguez noticed the stares. Some aliens looked curious. Others seemed annoyed. The Zephyrian guards especially watched the human children with cold eyes. "Miss Rodriguez," asked David Kim, a 14-year-old who loved history, "why do some of them look angry at us?" "Not angry, dear," she replied carefully. "Just careful. Humans are new out here. They don't know us yet." But Mrs. Rodriguez had been in the military before becoming a teacher. She recognized hostile looks when she saw them. Her hand moved closer to the emergency beacon on her belt. Lord Admiral Thexvar stood on a balcony above the cultural district, watching the human children with disgust. He was over 8 feet tall, with pale blue skin and gold markings that showed his high rank in the Zephyrian Empire. To him, humans were nothing but violent animals who had stumbled into space travel. "Look at them," he said to his aide, "running around like wild creatures. No discipline, no respect." The aide nodded carefully. Everyone knew better than to disagree with Thexvar. "The Empire could use this visit to show them their place, sir." Thexvar smiled coldly. "Perhaps we could. Alert the guards. Tell them we will be conducting a security drill in the cultural district. Full weapons discharge authorized." Below, the children moved through a display of Zephyrian history. 12-year-old Lisa Zhang read aloud from the information panels, translating for the younger kids. 10-year-old Robert Jones tried to sketch the strange artifacts in his notebook. "This is amazing," said Anna Kowalski, a 15-year-old who studied alien cultures. "Look how old their civilization is. Thousands of years before humans even discovered fire." Mrs. Rodriguez smiled at their enthusiasm. These kids would grow up to be diplomats, scientists, explorers. They would help humanity find its place among the stars. That's when the alarm started. Red lights flashed throughout the district. A voice spoke in several languages. "Security drill in progress. All civilians take shelter immediately." Mrs. Rodriguez knew something was wrong. Real drills were announced in advance. "Children, over here, quickly!" She herded them toward a shop doorway. The human security guards moved to surround the group, their weapons now visible. But before they could react fully, Zephyrian guards appeared from several directions, energy weapons raised and glowing. "This is a drill," announced their commander loudly. "Do not interfere." The energy beams lit up the corridor like deadly lightning. They struck the walls, the ceiling, the floor near the children. But some beams went lower, much lower. Tommy Chen screamed as energy burned his arm. Sarah Park fell as a beam hit her leg. One by one, all 20 children were struck by the accidentally aimed weapons. Mrs. Rodriguez threw herself over 3 of the youngest children, taking an energy blast in her shoulder. The human guards shouted and moved to protect everyone, but the damage was done. When the weapons stopped firing, 20 human children lay injured on the station floor. Burns covered their skin. Some had broken bones from falling. Others breathed with difficulty from energy poisoning. But amazingly, incredibly, all 20 were still alive. Lord Admiral Thexvar appeared quickly, his face showing fake concern. "What a terrible accident," he announced loudly for all to hear. "My guards were conducting a necessary security drill. These humans were in the wrong place at the wrong time." Mrs. Rodriguez knelt among the injured children, her military medic training taking over. "Stay calm, everyone. Help is coming." But her eyes burned with fury as she looked up at the Zephyrian commander. Station Commander Crix, an insect-like alien, arrived with medical teams. His multiple eyes clicked in distress. "This is most unfortunate. Most regrettable." "Indeed," said Thexvar smoothly. "The Empire will, of course, provide basic medical care for these humans. We regret they were caught in our necessary security operations. The children were brave. Even injured and scared, they tried not to cry." Tommy Chen held Emma Foster's hand while medics worked on both of them. Marcus Williams tried to joke to make the others feel better even though his leg was clearly broken. "Are we going to be okay?" asked little Sophie Martinez, her voice small and frightened. "Yes, sweetie," Mrs. Rodriguez promised, though she wasn't sure herself. "We're going to be fine." As medical teams carried the children to the hospital section, Mrs. Rodriguez activated her emergency beacon. The message went out instantly, traveling faster than light toward Earth. 20 human children injured in incident at Kepler Station. Require immediate assistance. Back on Earth, the message reached military headquarters first. General Sarah Chen was in a meeting when her aide handed her the emergency report. She read it once, then twice, her face growing darker. "Ma'am?" asked the aide. "Should we contact the diplomatic corps?" General Chen stood up slowly. She was 53 years old, with scars from dozens of battles defending human colonies. The galaxy knew her as Iron Mother, the woman who never backed down when human lives were threatened. "No," she said quietly. "Ready my ship. I'm going to Kepler Station myself. Ma'am, with respect, this might be a matter for diplomats." "They hurt our children," General Chen interrupted. Her voice was calm, but something dangerous sparkled in her eyes. 20 of our brightest young minds. This is exactly the kind of matter that requires my personal attention." As her ship prepared for departure, General Chen looked at the photos of all 20 children. Each young face looked back at her, hopeful, intelligent, innocent. They had gone to space to learn and explore. Instead, they had learned that the galaxy could be cruel to humans. But they were about to teach the galaxy something in return. Something about what happened when you made the mistake of hurting human children. The general smiled as her ship jumped toward Kepler Station. It wasn't a pleasant smile. 18 hours after the attack, General Sarah Chen's ship docked at Kepler Station. She brought only 3 people with her, her aide Lieutenant Brooks and 2 Marines. Most generals would have brought an army, but General Chen had other plans. The station's docking bay was crowded with reporters and diplomats from dozens of species. Everyone wanted to see how humanity would respond to the attack on their children. Some expected anger. Others predicted tears and begging. General Chen walked down her ship's ramp like she owned the station. She was not tall like the Zephyrians, but something about her made people step back. Her uniform was simple and clean. Her gray hair was pulled back in a neat bun. The scars on her face told stories of old battles. General Chen, Station Commander Crix, approached nervously. His insect-like body clicked and buzzed with stress. "We are deeply sorry about this incident." "Most regrettable. Where are my children?" the general asked. Her voice was calm but left no room for argument. "In the medical bay, but perhaps you would like to meet with the diplomatic." "The children first," General Chen said, walking past him. The medical bay smelled of antiseptic and pain. 20 beds held 20 brave young humans. Some slept under the influence of alien medicine. Others sat up reading or talking quietly. All of them showed the marks of energy burns and injuries. General Chen walked to the first bed where Tommy Chen, the youngest, lay with bandages covering his burned arm. He looked up with wide eyes. "Are you really a general?" he whispered. "I am," she said, sitting down in the chair beside his bed. "What's your name, soldier?" "Tommy Chen. I'm 8 years old. I won the junior science fair for building a robot that could sort recycling." General Chen smiled, her first real smile since hearing about the attack. "That's excellent work, Tommy. What do you want to be when you grow up?" "I want to build spaceships that can go to other galaxies," Tommy said, then looked sad. "But maybe humans aren't supposed to be in space. Maybe we're not good enough." General Chen leaned closer, Tommy Chen, let me tell you something. The fact that you're lying in this bed, hurt but not broken, proves exactly how good humans are at being in space. Do you know why? Tommy shook his head. Because you survived something that was meant to scare you away from the stars forever, and you're still here, still dreaming of building ships. That makes you exactly the kind of human who belongs out here. She spent an hour with each child. Emma Foster, who studied languages, told her she was already learning Zephyrian curse words. Marcus Williams, the engineer, had figured out how their energy weapons worked just from being hit by them. Lisa Zhang had been writing down everything she observed about alien medicine. Each child was scared but not defeated. They asked about their families, about going home, about whether this meant humans weren't welcome in space. General Chen answered each question honestly and kindly, but it was 15-year-old Anna Kowalski who asked the hardest question. General, are you going to start a war because of us? General Chen looked at this brave teenager who had been studying alien cultures to help humans and aliens understand each other better. Now she lay in a hospital bed because someone decided to use her as target practice. No, Anna, the general said. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to do something much more effective than that. While General Chen visited the children, Lord Admiral Thexavar prepared for his meeting with her. He stood in his temporary quarters admiring himself in the mirror. His blue skin gleamed, his gold rank markings sparkled in the light. The human female will be emotional, he told his aide. They always are when their offspring are threatened. She will cry, make demands we cannot meet, and eventually accept whatever small compensation we offer. What if she threatens military action, sir? Thexavar laughed. Human military? They are barely able to defend their own colonies. Besides, we only injured their children. We didn't kill them. They should be grateful for our restraint. He had studied human behavior from their wars and conflicts. Humans, he had learned, responded to threats against their young with mindless rage and poor planning. This general would be no different. The formal meeting was arranged in the station's main diplomatic chamber. Representatives from dozens of species filled the seats. News cameras from across the galaxy focused on the center of the room, where two tables faced each other. On one side sat Lord Admiral Thexavar and his staff, confident and relaxed. On the other sat General Chen with just her aide. The contrast was obvious. The mighty Zephyrian Empire versus one human woman. Station Commander Crix opened the meeting. We are here to discuss the unfortunate incident involving 20 human miners and Zephyrian security forces. Thexavar stood first, his 8-foot frame towering over everyone else. The Zephyrian Empire regrets that human civilians were caught in necessary security operations. However, we cannot be responsible for humans who place themselves in dangerous situations. He paused for effect. As a gesture of goodwill, the Empire is prepared to offer basic medical compensation for the injured humans. We hope this demonstrates our commitment to peace. The chamber waited for the human general's response. Many expected shouting or threats. Some thought she might even attack Thexavar physically. Instead, General Chen began to laugh. It started as a small chuckle, then grew into full, delighted laughter. She laughed like someone had just told her the funniest joke in the galaxy. The sound echoed through the chamber, confusing everyone. Thexavar's confident expression faltered. I fail to see what is amusing about this situation. General Chen wiped tears from her eyes as her laughter slowed. Oh, Admiral, you have no idea what you've done, do you? I have conducted necessary security. You attacked 20 human children, General Chen interrupted, still smiling. 20 of our brightest, most curious, most determined young minds. And you think this intimidates humanity? She stood up, her smile growing wider. Admiral Thexavar, let me thank you for the most valuable lesson you've just given humanity about the Zephyrian Empire. Lesson? Thexavar was no longer confident. The human's reaction was completely wrong. Yes, General Chen said cheerfully. You've taught us that the mighty Zephyrian Empire considers its greatest military victory to be injuring children. You've shown us that your security forces can't conduct a drill without hurting innocents. Most importantly, you've demonstrated that your empire sees human children as such a threat that you need to attack them with energy weapons. The chamber was completely silent. Every alien representative leaned forward, trying to understand what was happening. 20 children, Admiral. Ages 8 to 16, armed with nothing but notebooks and curiosity. And the Zephyrian Empire felt so threatened that you had to hurt them all. General Chen's laughter started again, softer this time. Do you know what that tells me about your empire's strength? Do you know what message that sends to humanity? Thaxavar realized something was going very wrong with his plan, but he couldn't figure out what. I'm not here to demand compensation, General Chen announced to the chamber. I'm not here to threaten war or make diplomatic protests. I'm here to deliver a message about what happens next. What happens next? Station Commander Crix asked nervously. General Chen looked directly at Thaxavar, her smile becoming something much more dangerous. What happens next, Admiral, is that you're about to learn why attacking human children is the worst strategic mistake your empire has ever made. The diplomatic chamber remained silent as General Chen continued to smile at Lord Admiral Thaxavar. The tall Zephyrian commander felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: uncertainty. This was not how humans were supposed to react. You speak of strategic mistakes, Thaxavar said, trying to regain control. Perhaps you should consider the strategic position of making threats against the Zephyrian Empire. Threats? General Chen laughed again. Admiral, I'm not making threats. I'm making observations, and thanking you for the gift you've given humanity. Gift? Now Thaxavar was completely confused. General Chen turned to address the entire chamber, her voice carrying to every corner and every camera broadcasting across the galaxy. Ladies, gentlemen, and distinguished beings of all species, she began, let me tell you about human children. We don't see them as just our offspring. We see them as our future, our hope, our promise that tomorrow will be better than today. She gestured toward the medical bay. Those 20 children lying in hospital beds right now? They represent everything we love about humanity. Their curiosity, their dreams, their endless questions about how things work and why things happen. The alien representatives listened carefully. Most species protected their young, but humans seemed to have an unusual attachment to their children. Now, General Chen continued, Admiral Thaxavar has done something remarkable. He has taken our 20 brightest young minds and given them the most important lesson they will ever receive about life among the stars. What lesson? Asked a delegate from the Andorian collective. That the galaxy can be dangerous. That there are beings who will hurt children simply to make a point. That if humanity wants to survive and thrive out here, we need to be stronger, smarter, and more united than we've ever been before. General Chen's smile grew warmer. Do you know what happens when you teach human children that they need to be stronger? They become stronger. When you show them they need to be smarter, they become smarter. When you prove they need to work together, they unite in ways that will amaze you. Thaxavar was beginning to understand that his plan had gone terribly wrong, but he still didn't know how. Furthermore, General Chen continued, the Admiral has given all of humanity a perfect example of why we need to accelerate our development. Why we need better ships, better technology, better training. Why we need to prepare our children for a galaxy that sees them as threats to be eliminated. She turned back to Thaxavar. So thank you, Admiral. You've just provided humanity with the motivation we needed to become everything you were afraid we might become. You speak in riddles, Thaxavar growled. Humanity is weak. Your children prove it. Weak? General Chen's laughter returned, but this time it had an edge. Admiral, let me share some human history with you. She walked closer to his table. Humans have a saying, that which does not kill you makes you stronger. Do you know where that saying comes from? From thousands of years of surviving things that should have destroyed us. The chamber listened as General Chen began to speak about humanity's past. We survived ice ages that covered our world in snow for thousands of years. We survived plagues that killed half our population. We survived wars that lasted decades. Every time something tried to destroy us, we came back stronger. She paused to let that sink in. But do you know what made us strongest of all? When someone threatened our children. When someone hurt our young ones, humans didn't just survive, we evolved. General Chen looked around the chamber. Every major advancement in human civilization came after someone threatened our children. Better medicine after diseases killed our young. Better technology after disasters struck our families. Better societies after wars orphaned our children. Thaxavar felt a cold understanding creeping into his mind. You hurt 20 human children, Admiral. Do you know what that means? It means humanity is about to evolve again. And this time we're evolving among the stars. The general activated a holographic display that showed images from across human space. The pictures were only hours old, but they told an incredible story. This is the new Geneva shipyards, she said as the first image appeared. 6 hours ago, they started construction on a new class of hospital ship. The workers are volunteering their time. The ship will be named Hope's Children after our 20 kids. The next image showed crowds of humans gathering on dozens of worlds. These are recruitment centers. Since news of the attack spread, over 2 million humans have volunteered for space service. Not for war, Admiral. For exploration, education, and protection. More images flowed past. Scientists working late into the night. Engineers designing new technologies. Teachers developing new programs. This is the Human Education Initiative announcing 2,000 new scholarships for children who want to study space sciences. This is the Colonial Development Authority, fast-tracking the construction of 50 new schools on frontier worlds. General Chen looked directly at Thexvar. This is what happens when you hurt human children, Admiral. You don't weaken us. You make us multiply our efforts to ensure it never happens again. But most importantly, she continued, you create heroes. The display showed the 20 children in their hospital beds, but now they were surrounded by flowers, gifts, and messages from across human space. Tommy Chen, age 8, has received 17,000 letters from human children, pledging to become engineers like him. Emma Foster has been offered language lessons from professors at 12 universities. Marcus Williams has been sent blueprints for new engine designs from the best human engineers. Each child's story appeared on the screen. Anna Kowalski was being contacted by anthropologists offering to mentor her. David Kim had been invited to study at the most prestigious history academies. Lisa Zhang was receiving mathematics problems from Nobel Prize winners. Every human child in the galaxy now knows that if they work hard enough, study long enough, and dream big enough, they might grow up to be like the Kepler-20, General Chen announced. The alien delegates began to understand what they were witnessing. This wasn't just a diplomatic incident. This was the birth of a new generation of human leaders. In 5 years, General Chen predicted, these 20 children will be entering the best universities humanity has to offer. In 10 years, they'll be leading research projects and designing new technologies. In 20 years, they'll be the scientists, engineers, diplomats, and explorers who represent humanity to the galaxy. She turned to face the cameras broadcasting across space. And they will remember who hurt them when they were young. They will remember who tried to teach them that humans don't belong among the stars. Every success they achieve, every discovery they make, every problem they solve will be proof that whoever tries to stop human children only makes them stronger. Thexvar finally understood what he had done. He hadn't intimidated humanity. He hadn't shown them their place. He had created exactly what the Zephyrian Empire feared most, a generation of humans with personal reasons to excel. You wanted to send a message to humanity, General Chen said to him. Mission accomplished, Admiral. But I don't think it's the message you intended to send. She looked around the chamber one final time. The message humanity received is this. The galaxy is not ready for human children, so we're going to have to make it ready. We're going to have to build better ships, create safer stations, and raise a generation of humans capable of protecting themselves and others among the stars. General Chen smiled her most dangerous smile. Congratulations, Admiral Thexvar. You've just created the future leaders of human space exploration. I hope your empire is prepared for what they're going to accomplish. The chamber erupted in whispers and clicking as delegates tried to process what they had just heard. This wasn't how diplomatic incidents were supposed to end, but General Chen wasn't finished yet. She had one more announcement to make, one that would change everything. Ladies and gentlemen, humanity is implementing the Kepler Protocol, effective immediately. What is the Kepler Protocol? Asked Station Commander Crix. General Chen's smile became absolutely terrifying. You're about to find out. 3 days after General Chen's announcement of the Kepler Protocol, the galaxy began to see what it meant. Reports flooded in from across human space, and the scope of humanity's response became clear. Station Commander Crix received the first report while reviewing security footage of the diplomatic meeting. His multiple eyes clicked nervously. As he read the message from his intelligence sources, the Human Colonial Authority had announced the immediate construction of 12 new medical stations along major space routes. Each station would provide free emergency medical care to any species, but they would be staffed entirely by humans and protected by human warships. They're not seeking revenge, Crix muttered to his aide. They're making themselves indispensable. More reports arrived hourly. The Human Education Corps had dispatched teacher ships to 15 different systems, offering free schooling to any species that wanted to learn about human technology and culture. The ships were escorted by human military vessels, but their weapons were powered down in a gesture of peace. Meanwhile, in the medical bay, the 20 injured children were becoming the most famous young humans in the galaxy. News crews from dozens of species requested interviews. Scientists offered research partnerships. Even some Zephyrian academics, embarrassed by their government's actions, sent private messages of support. Tommy Chen, the 8-year-old who had been the most severely injured, was now sitting up in bed designing improvements for the hospital equipment treating him. His drawings showed energy healing devices that could work on any species, not just humans. "The machines here are good," he told Mrs. Rodriguez, "but they could be better. Look, if we changed this part, it would work on Zephyrian biology too." Mrs. Rodriguez looked at the complex diagrams her student had created. 3 days ago, Tommy had been crying from pain. Now he was solving medical engineering problems that had puzzled experts for years. "Tommy, where did you learn to design equipment like this?" "I didn't learn it," Tommy said cheerfully. "I figured it out. When the energy hit me, I felt how it affected my cells. Now I understand how healing energy works on humans. And if it works on humans, I can make it work on other species too." Similar scenes played out across the medical bay. Emma Foster was writing a children's book about different alien cultures, but in a way that helped alien children understand humans too. Marcus Williams had designed a new type of artificial gravity that would make space stations more comfortable for every species. Each child was turning their painful experience into something positive. For the entire galaxy, General Chen visited them daily, always bringing new reports of how humanity was responding to their situation. "The Titan colony has named their new research center after you," she told 15-year-old Anna Kowalski. "The Anna Kowalski Institute for Interspecies Understanding. They want you to help design their first research projects when you recover." Anna's eyes filled with tears, but they were happy tears. "Really? They want me to help?" "They want all of you to help," General Chen said. "The entire galaxy is watching what you do next. Some species are scared of what you might become. Others are excited to see what humanity can accomplish." Meanwhile, Lord Admiral Thexavar was learning what the Kepler Protocol really meant. His intelligence officers brought him reports that grew more disturbing by the day. "Sir," his aide reported nervously, 3 more Zephyrian colonies have requested human medical assistance. The humans are providing it for free, but their hospital ships are also conducting cultural exchanges." "What kind of cultural exchanges?" Thexavar demanded. "Human children teaching Zephyrian children, human engineers working with Zephyrian engineers, human artists collaborating with Zephyrian artists." Thexavar realized the terrible truth. The humans weren't seeking revenge or making threats. They were doing something much more dangerous. They were making friends. Every human ship that arrived to help carried teachers, doctors, engineers, and artists. They worked alongside local populations, learning their cultures while sharing human knowledge. Slowly but steadily, they were building relationships that would last for generations. "Sir," his aide continued, "there's more. The humans have announced the first Kepler educational exchange. They're inviting children from every species to visit Earth and human colonies. In return, they're sending human children to learn about other cultures." "They're spreading," Thexavar said with growing horror. "They're not conquering. They're spreading like teachers, sir," the aide finished quietly. Back on Kepler Station, General Chen held a press conference to explain the next phase of the Kepler Protocol. Representatives from across the galaxy listened as she outlined humanity's long-term response to the attack on their children. "The Kepler Protocol has 3 simple principles," she began. "First, any attack on human children triggers immediate humanitarian aid to the surrounding area. Not military retaliation, but doctors, teachers, and engineers to help everyone in the region." She paused to let that sink in. "Second, we accelerate our educational and cultural exchange programs. If someone attacks our children because they fear what humans might become, we make sure the entire galaxy knows exactly what we're becoming. Partners, not conquerors." The alien journalists scribbled notes frantically. This was unlike any military doctrine they had ever encountered. "Third, and most importantly, we ensure that our children who were attacked become the brightest examples of human potential. We give them every resource, every opportunity, every chance to become the leaders humanity needs among the stars." General Chen activated a holographic display showing the 20 children's progress. In just 3 days, they had made remarkable recoveries. More importantly, they had each begun projects that would benefit multiple species. Tommy Chen is designing medical equipment that will work on 15 different alien biologies. Emma Foster is creating educational materials that help young beings of all species learn about each other. Marcus Williams is developing engineering solutions that will make space travel safer for everyone. The display showed project after project. Anna Kowalski was working with xenoanthropologists to create better diplomatic protocols. David Kim was researching how different species recorded and preserved their histories. Lisa Zhang was developing mathematical languages that could be understood by any intelligent species. These children were attacked because someone thought human curiosity was dangerous. General Chen announced. They were right. Human curiosity is extremely dangerous to ignorance, to hatred, and to those who believe the galaxy is better when different species remain separate and suspicious of each other. She looked directly at the camera that was broadcasting to Zephyrian space. Admiral Thexavar gave these children the motivation to become the best possible versions of themselves. In 5 years, they'll be young adults with personal experience of how cooperation between species can overcome conflict. In 10 years, they'll be the doctors, engineers, diplomats, and teachers working to build a better galaxy for all of us. General Chen smiled her warmest smile. In 20 years, when humans and Zephyrians work together on projects that benefit both our species, it will be because 20 children learned that the galaxy needs them to be strong, smart, and compassionate. The press conference ended, but the reports kept coming in from across human space. The Kepler protocol was working exactly as designed. Human colonies competed to offer the best educational opportunities to the 20 children. Research institutions bid for the chance to fund their future projects. Military academies promised them places in officer training programs that would prepare them to protect other species, not just humanity. Most importantly, human children everywhere now had 20 heroes to look up to. Every school in human space displayed pictures of the Kepler 20, with captions explaining how they had turned a terrible experience into an opportunity to help the entire galaxy. General Chen reviewed the intelligence reports flowing in from across known space. Species that had been neutral or suspicious of humanity were suddenly requesting cultural exchanges. Even some Zephyrian worlds were quietly asking for human assistance with medical and educational projects. Ma'am, Lieutenant Brooks approached with the latest report. We're receiving a message from Earth Command. They want to know when you're returning to resume your regular duties. General Chen looked toward the medical bay, where 20 young humans were working on projects that would change the galaxy's future. Tell Earth Command that I'm exactly where I need to be, she said. These children are humanity's most important project. I want to be here when they're ready to go home and start changing the galaxy. She paused and smiled. Besides, I want to see Admiral Thexvar's face when he realizes what he's actually accomplished. Unknown to General Chen, Thexvar was at that moment reading reports about human activities in Zephyrian space. 3 hospital ships had arrived at Zephyrian colonies experiencing medical emergencies. Human doctors were working alongside Zephyrian physicians, sharing techniques and learning from each other. More disturbing were the reports of young Zephyrians who had heard about the 20 injured human children. They were asking questions about why the Empire had attacked children who were only trying to learn. Some were even expressing interest in visiting human space to see how human children. 1 year later, Kepler Station hosted its first annual Interspecies Youth Conference. The same cultural district where 20 human children had been injured now welcomed over 500 young beings from 37 different species. General Sarah Chen walked through the crowded halls, watching alien children and human children work together on projects that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. Young Zephyrians worked alongside human teenagers to design better communication systems. Insectoid juveniles from the crick species collaborated with human children to develop new farming techniques that could work on any world. At the center of it all were the Kepler 20. Tommy Chen, now 9 years old, stood before a mixed audience of species explaining his latest invention. The universal medical scanner could diagnose injuries and illnesses in any known alien biology. 3 major hospitals had already requested copies of his design. The idea came to me when I was hurt, Tommy told his audience. I realized that pain feels the same to everyone, but we all heal differently. So I made a machine that understands how each species heals best. In another demonstration area, Emma Foster was teaching a group of young aliens how to write stories that could be enjoyed by multiple species. Her children's book, Friends Among the Stars, had become the most popular educational material in the galaxy. Every species has different emotions, Emma explained. But everyone understands friendship and kindness. We just have to find the right way to show it. General Chen found Anna Kowalski in the diplomacy workshop, leading a discussion between young beings who came from species that had been enemies for centuries. Anna was now 16, tall and confident, with the kind of natural leadership that made everyone want to listen to her. The key to understanding each other, Anna was saying, is remembering that we're all young and learning. Adults sometimes carry old grudges, but young people can make new friendships. These weren't the same frightened children who had lain in hospital beds a year ago. They were confident, capable young humans who spoke multiple alien languages, understood dozens of cultures, and moved through the galaxy like they belonged there. More importantly, they had inspired thousands of other human children to follow their example. The Kepler Youth Academy had waiting lists of human children who wanted to study alien cultures and technologies. The Chen Institute for Medical Innovation was training young humans to develop healing technologies for all species. The Foster Foundation for Interspecies Literature had chapters on 40 human worlds. General Chen watched Marcus Williams, now 13, demonstrating his latest engine design to a group of adult engineers from several species. The engine was more efficient than anything currently in use, and Marcus had designed it specifically to be manufactured using materials available to any spacefaring species. I wanted to make sure everyone could build it, Marcus explained to the amazed engineers. What good is a better engine if only humans can use it? This was the real success of the Kepler Protocol. The 20 children hadn't just recovered from their injuries. They had become examples of what humanity could contribute to galactic civilization. Across human space, children competed to be selected for interspecies exchange programs. They studied alien languages and cultures not to understand their enemies, but to understand their future friends and colleagues. The results were visible throughout the galaxy. Human colonies now hosted permanent alien residents who came to study at human universities. Alien worlds welcomed human scientists, doctors, and teachers. Trade agreements were being replaced by collaboration, agreements as species discovered they could accomplish more working together than they could alone. General Chen's communication device chimed with an incoming message. The sender's name made her smile, former Lord Admiral Thexvar. He had been quietly demoted after the Kepler Station incident and now served as a cultural liaison, helping arrange educational exchanges between human and Zephyrian colonies. The message was brief but significant. General Chen, the Zephyrian Council requests permission to send 12 young Zephyrians to study at the Kepler Youth Academy next semester. We have finally understood that learning from human children is not weakness but wisdom. General Chen typed back a simple response. Permission granted. Our children are looking forward to making new friends. She found Lisa Zhang in the mathematics wing, working with young beings from 7 different species to solve a problem that had puzzled adult scientists for decades. Lisa was developing a universal mathematical language that could be understood by any intelligent species, regardless of how they thought or communicated. Numbers are the same everywhere, Lisa explained to her diverse team. 2 + 2 = 4, whether you have tentacles, claws, or fingers. If we can agree on the basic math, we can solve any problem together. At 15, Lisa was already being consulted by university research teams. Her mathematical innovations were being used to improve navigation systems, communication networks, and even diplomatic translation software. General Chen reflected on what the 20 children had accomplished. They had been attacked as symbols of human weakness. Instead, they had become proof of human strength. Not the strength of weapons or threats, but the strength of curiosity, cooperation, and determination to turn every setback into an opportunity for growth. The Kepler Protocol had evolved beyond its original design. It was no longer just humanity's response to attacks on their children. It had become the foundation of how humans approached every challenge in space. With education instead of intimidation, cooperation instead of competition, and hope instead of fear. As General Chen walked through the conference, She overheard conversations in dozens of languages. Young beings from across the galaxy were sharing ideas, making plans for future collaborations and forming friendships that would last their entire lives. General Chen, a familiar voice called out. She turned to see David Kim, now 15 and serving as a student ambassador for the conference. He had grown tall and confident, with the easy manner of someone who had learned to communicate with beings from dozens of different cultures. "David, how is the conference going?" "Better than we hoped," he said with a grin. "We've got project proposals for 57 joint research initiatives, 12 new cultural exchange programs, and 3 interspecies sports leagues." Sports leagues? Tommy's idea. He figured out that most species have some kind of competitive games, so why not play together? General Chen laughed, remembering the scared 8-year-old who had asked if humans belonged in space. Now he was inventing ways for different species to have fun together. "There's something else," David continued. "The Kepler 20 have been talking, and we want to make an announcement at the closing ceremony." "What kind of announcement?" David's expression became serious. "We want to establish the Kepler Foundation, a permanent organization dedicated to helping young beings from all species learn about each other and work together on problems that affect everyone." General Chen felt a surge of pride. These children had grown beyond her expectations, beyond anyone's expectations. "We've been hurt," David continued, "but we've also been helped by beings from dozens of species. We want to make sure that other children, human and alien, have the same opportunities we've had to learn and grow and make friends across species lines." The closing ceremony of the conference took place in the same chamber where General Chen had faced down Lord Admiral Thexvar a year earlier. But now, instead of tension and hostility, the room was filled with hope and excitement. The 20 human children stood together on the stage, looking out at an audience that included their families, alien dignitaries, and hundreds of young beings from across the galaxy. Anna Kowalski stepped forward to speak for the group. "A year ago, we came to this station as students hoping to learn about different species and cultures," she began. "We learned more than we ever expected, but not in the way we planned." The audience listened intently as Anna continued. "We learned that the galaxy can be dangerous for those who are different. We learned that some beings fear change and try to stop it with violence. We learned that pain is universal, but so is the desire to heal and help others. Most importantly," Anna said, looking directly at the cameras broadcasting across known space, "we learned that young beings from every species share the same dreams. We all want to explore, to discover, to create, and to make friends." Tommy Chen stepped forward, no longer the frightened 8-year-old from a year ago. "So we're announcing the creation of the Kepler Foundation," he said in his clear, confident voice. "Our mission is to help young beings from all species work together on projects that make life better for everyone." Emma Foster joined them at the microphone. "We'll provide funding for interspecies research projects led by young scientists. We'll create cultural exchange programs that help children learn about species different from their own. We'll build schools where young beings can study together regardless of what world they come from," Marcus Williams added, "and we'll make sure that what happened to us, being hurt for trying to learn, never happens to other children." The audience erupted in applause that clicked, buzzed, chirped, and roared in the languages of 37 different species. General Chen watched from the back of the chamber, tears in her eyes.